Mr. Lunch.
What's your, how come so late tonight?
Why?
At 8:20.
That's
I
what he
guess-
wants.
Oh, somebody
8:20.
said, he said 8:20? Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
So how are you?
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Yeah.
What are you eating?
Got a peach.
Oh,
Guess I bought a deal on it. Ralph had it this week. Peaches, $1.50 a pound.
where?
At Ralph's, so it was regular $3.50 for $1.50 if you you have that belong to the Ralph card.
Yeah, but are they good?
They're very delicious, really good.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's over with, baby. You got to find another store. I love. You like summer fruits?
yeah.
It's the best. I love
The,
summer fruits.
the problem is that they have too much sugar.
I know. I know. It's the problem. Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
the, what is it called now?
Apricots.
Yeah,
Yeah, those
I
are
love
good too.
them. I love them.
Apricots don't have so much sugar, but it's really tasty. But they're better, I guess. They're better than peaches or nectarines. Yeah.
Well, I buy them and I have one every couple of days. Not
Every couple of-
peaches.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Peaches are good. Grapes are high in content sugar. Grapes
Yeah.
are very high, yeah. But
Strawberries are good.
melons are pretty good. Melons are pretty.
Which?
Melons,
Yeah.
cantaloupe, and they're okay. What about watermelon? Is that high in sugar also?
Yes.
It is, huh? Watermelon is too, huh? So just, but
Cantaloupes are okay.
yeah, cantaloupe is good, yeah.
But I like blackberries. And they're okay. I can have blackberries, blueberries.
Yeah, blueberries are good. Yeah,
Strawberries.
yeah. When we were kids, we used to pick back. There's so many blackberries in Seattle. We used to pick them. My brother and I, we'd pick them in the can. We'd go around selling them. We made a lot of money in the summer. We used to go to these places.
Really?
Yeah, we would sell them for $0.25 a box. This goes back. 60, 70 years. My brother and I, we were kids. We would go to the doors and we had neighbors that would buy the blackberries from us. In the summer, we made a lot of money. My brother and I, we'd go pick the berries. We get stuck. We get stuck from all the the stickers, from the things. But we
So where did you pick them up?
In the neighborhood, in the bush, not all free. There's so many
Yeah,
blackberries. They're wild, and we used to pick the berries. My mother would make some blackberry pie for us. It was delicious.
Yeah.
And jam, she made it. But we
When
didn't make any money. We didn't make any money.
there-
Give it to my mother, but we used to sell in the neighborhood. All the neighbors used to buy it from it, and this goes back. We used to make in the summer. We made hundreds of dollars, and this was a lot of money for us 75
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I lived in England, there
Yeah.
was at the end, it was a cul-de-sac, and at the end there was an open field.
Oh,
And
probably
they
a lot
grew
of
there. They grew there.
the
My kids were there.
blackberry. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Those days we.
Those were the days.
Well, when a quarter meant something, 25 cents meant something,
Yeah, of course.
No, you wouldn't bend down to pick up a quarter on the street. Yeah. Were you born in Belgium?
Me?
Yeah, where were you
No.
born?
I was
Argent-
born in Belgium.
You were born, yeah?
I was born in Belgium, yeah.
I was born in Argentina.
Oh, so how'd you get to England?
I lived in Uruguay and then I got a job in England, so I went to England.
Oh, okay. Did you like England?
From Russia.
No.
No, but we met in Uruguay.
Oh. Yeah. When did you come here, Johnny? When did you come to America?
I came to Yeshiva in 1974.
To where
I'm
did you
sorry, 1964.
Where?
I went to Israel.
Oh, you went to Israel from Belgium.
No, from Uruguay. My parents
Oh.
moved to, my parents went to Uruguay when I was 1 year old,
Oh,
1951.
oh.
Mhm.
What brought you there? What brought your parents there?
To Uruguay,
Yeah.
it was a very good place to be. They were very friendly to Jews, and some other relative got there before. So he said that, it was very good to come. So that's what they did. Yeah. And
Okay.
I don't think my parents could get into the US. So that was another. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
that's it.
Okay, Chav Beis Amud Aleph 22. Otzitz, we discussed a flower pot with a hole in it. Otzitz shalechad uzroim shalacher. You have a flower pot that belongs to one person.
Does it have to be a nourishment from the ground to be nukkah, or does it have to have roots, actually?
No,
Because
nakuv means there's a hole in the bottom of the flower pot.
So the nourishment comes from
So
the
there's a
ground.
difference. There's an otzitz she'ena nakuv, which is a flower pot that does not have a hole. That doesn't get any yanuka from the ground, and therefore the mitzvahs, there's no mitzvahs tluyos ba'aretz on things that grow in the flower pot.
Yeah, but if
The flower
it
pot
has
has a hole in it, it's connected to the ground.
yeah, but there's no roots, just the nourishment. So
They can have
why?
roots too. They can have roots.
But if it doesn't have roots, just to get the nourishment.
Even if it doesn't have roots, it's.
So why couldn't they give a get with that? They could. There's no separation. If he picks it up and gives it kosav and nasan, there's no separation then.
So Rava said gzeiros shema yiktom.
I see.
Mikra
Okay.
dinner, it's okay,
Okay.
but maybe you'll cut off the leaf.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So now that we brought in the flower pot, so we're going to talk about some dinim regarding the flower pot. Atzi shalechad is rom shalach. The flower pot belongs to one guy, and the seeds in the flower pot belong to another person. Machar bal atzitz lebal zroim. The person who owns the flower pot sells the flower pot to the owner of the seeds. Kivin shamoshach kana. Once the owner of the seeds did meshicha, he's koina, because the otzitz is considered not mechuber to the karka, it's considered metaltalin, and we are koina metaltalin through hagba or meshicha. But machar bal zroim lebal otzitz, if the owner of the seeds sell the flower pot to the seeds.
No, sell the seeds.
Sell the seeds in the flower pot to the owner of the flower pot, loikana, ad sheyachzik bizroim. The zroim are like as if they are in the karka. You can only be koine karka through chazaka. Chazaka means you weed it, you rake it, you do some avoided to it. So the seeds would be considered in the ground and therefore mechuber. Otzitz uzroim shalechad. The flower pot and the seeds belong to one guy. Umachron lacher, and sold it to a third party. Hechzik bizroim kana otzitz. If he does an act of chazaka to the seeds, he's koine the otzitz, because there is a principle of kinyan agav. For example, if you have a bunch of plows and other implements on a field, and you're coin of the field with a star or with an act of chazaka, you can be coin of the metaltalin agav, the kinyan that you made on the land. That's what's going on here. Zuis Roshaninu, the chosim she'ein lan achrayas, which really is defining metaltalin, niknin im the chosim she'ein lan achrayas, can be acquired when you make a kinyan on assets that have achrayas, which refers to land. How do you make a kinyan chazaka? Kesef shtar chazaka. Hechzik ba'otzitz. If he did an act of chazaka to the otzitz, af otzitz lo kana achi yachzik bizroim. The otzitz itself is a metaltalin. Chazaka is not an act that can acquire you a metaltalin. If you do an act of chazaka on the zroim, then you can acquire it. Nikvo ba'aret. Now, here's another very interesting question about a flower pot. Nikvo ba'aretz. You have a flower pot that's on the border of Eretz Yisrael. And the flower pot's hole is on the ground in Eretz Yisrael. But the leaves that are growing out of the flower pot are in the airspace of Chutz La'aretz. Abaya Omar Basar Nikvo Aslina. We go after where the hole in the flower pot is. Since the hole is in Eretz Yisrael, we'd have to give Trumas and Maestras. Rava Omer Basar Noifo Aslina. No, we go after where the leaves are. The leaves are in the airspace of Chutz La'aretz. There's no Trumas and Maestras. Now, this is a little bit what Elazar was asking. B'da ashrush, if there are roots growing out of the flower pot through the hole into the ground, kulam aloy pli. Well, then it's clearly going to be where the roots are. If the roots are in Eretz Yisrael, it would have the din of Eretz Yisrael. Ki pligi b'deloy ashrush. The machlokas is when there were no roots. Okay. Frank the Gemara with the ashrush lo pligi. I'll show that there is a machlokas even when there are roots. Vatnan. You have two gardens. They're terraced in a mountain. So Reuven is above Shimon's. The Yarak Beintai, and there's a vegetable plant between the two gardens. That's on this step. Rameir Mishal Elyon. Rameir says it belongs to the person who owns the garden on top. And Rabbi Yehuda Omer shel tachton. And even though doesn't make a difference where the roots are, even if the roots are in the Elyon, but if the leaves are in the bottom, so you see, we don't follow this rule, we go where the roots are. So Hasam can tiny time, but there's a reason. If, for example, the upper guy decides to take all of his dirt, ain't kanyerek, because the roots are in that dirt. The leaves are growing in the airspace of the bottom. If he decides to pile up 100 feet of dirt in every square meter of the airspace of his garden, ain't kanyerek. So that's why over there it's different than in our case. I'll show you that they still can argue even when there are roots. Because Vatanya, Elon, you have a tree that's on the border of Eretz Yisrael. Miktzosu ba'aretz, miktzosu b'chutz la'aretz. Part of it is in Eretz Yisrael, part of it's in outside of Eretz Yisrael. Tevel v'chulin muravin zav. Each fruit is a mixture of tevel v'chulin. Different Rebbe. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, no. Hagadol b'chiyuv, the tree, the fruits that are growing on the side of Eretz Yisrael, chayiv in trumas. Hagadol b'ptur potter. Now, what are they arguing? My love, mixes noifoy ba'aretz, u'mixes noifoy b'chutz la'aretz. We're talking about some of the leaves are on the side of Eretz Yisrael, some are on the other side. Look, mixes shroshim ba'aretz, u'mixes shroshim b'chutz la'aretz. We're talking about there are some roots in Eretz Yisrael, some are outside. Okay. My Trimid Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, who says that the fruits depend on where they're growing, because the mafsik tsunma, there was a rock in the middle of the roots that clearly divide the roots that are feeding these fruits and the roots that are feeding the outside fruits. So my time at the Rebbe said every fruit is a mixture. Okay, because the Hadri Arvi, because in the tree, the roots mix up again, and you can't tell from where the external roots are which ones feed the fruit. Now, b'may kamifli, it's a botany machlokas. Mar savar avira mevalbel, that which is above the ground is mixed up. Some of the fruits on the right side come from roots that are on the left side. The xylem and the phloem are not separated. Mar savar hayluchuda koi vayluchuda koi, that in the tree, the roots go all the way from the bottom to the top. In fact, I believe that the botany is like that the roots go all the way up and it'll stay uniform side by side. There are three kinds of parchment: matzah, chipa, diftera. Matzah kamashmod lo mliach lo kmiach lo afitz. It hasn't been salted. It hasn't been given any flour and no gallnuts. Shabbos. You have to know how much to carry of this matzah type of leather to be chayiv for Shabbos. Kamashir k'dei tan Rosh Hashanah k'dei lotzer mishkal ketana. You have to put it like you have a little weight, and you want to hold the weight in something. Now, the kama amrabai ki riva de pumbeditha. It would stop up a container that holds a fourth of a revius. Chipa de meliach v'lo kmiach v'lo. It's been salted, but no flour and no gall nuts. Again, this is a different type of item. So the din in when are you going to be chayiv for carrying on Shabbos would be different. Kamashi or kiditnan, or kidei lasos kameya, a big enough piece of leather to write an amulet. Diftera is the maliach ukamiach v'loy ofetz. Diftera is salted and floured, but not gallnut. Mayach asaloy tzashon kamashi or kidei lichtov alavas again. You're chayiv on Shabbos to carry this kind of leather, if it's the size that you'd be able to write a get on it. The Chachamim Machshirim, they said it's okay if you use erased paper or diftera. Man Chachamim, Rabbi Lazar, it's the Tana Rabbi Lazar, the Omar, Ede Mesira Karti, that the ikar of a get is when you give it in front of Edim. The Edim will read it when it's given, and we rely on them to be Makayim to get in Bezdin, and it doesn't make a difference what's written in the get. So you can be Machshir a get that's even written on inferior paper. Let's read Rashi. This is important because this is the first time we've been seeing in the Gemara Edim Mesira. Damar Chasimas Aget Edim in Torah. Having Edim sign on a get is not a Doraisa Dikadin. V'lo sagi lemisrei below Edim Mesira. It's not going to work without having Edim present when the get is given from the husband to the man. The inhu hu the av decreases. They're the ones that establish the divorce. Now, korcha bein and Edim, we need Edim. The alfinon erva dover mimama. Just like by a dover, it says ervas davar, and it says by mom and davar. So we learn a hekesh there that madach over there you need Edim. Here you need Edim too. Hilkach loy chashinon l'dilma mizayf. We're not concerned about these issues of counterfeit Now, Amrin Tzrichi Lemikri, they have to, the Eidim have to read it. The Iyavi Beit Tana, if there's some kind of Tana and they get Inu Yadi, they know. Mandomer Eidim Asira Iker, Haboli Nasi Tzrich Lavi Eidim Shenim Ser Lifneim. Someone who wants to get married have to bring those Eidim that witnessed the get given in front of them. The Rab Meir, the Omer Loba Inin Eidim Asira. Rab Meir doesn't require it. So therefore, you need the document itself to be counterfeit proof. The man the samech ha'edei chasima, the mandama that holds that that edei chasima karti, isha bali nase beget, edem vilafanenu edei machsumim bo. Im yesh makirim bechasmeim. The woman doesn't have to bring the original edim that's signed on it if there are people who recognize their signature. Back to the Gemara. You have to go to Bezdin right away the day that it was Nimsar in front of the Eidim to say that she's a Grusha and she's now permitted to marry. Because it happened right now. And we're not concerned that there's going to be some counterfeit later on of the document. He doesn't allow the divorce to take place any other time. Because the husband is gonna change the document, put Tnoim in there through counterfeit. However, he says you can go to Bezdin up until 10 days. They remember that there was a Tanai. This process about Eddie Masira, and they have to go right away, and you don't need to get any more. And once she was permitted in Bezdin, they're going to write a document, and it has a zikaron, says Rashi, in a call. This only works begittin. Aval b'shtar shtaro is low. A document that is meant to collect alone, perhaps it's not going to be produced in a long time. And the Edim Masira are going to forget everything. So there we do rely on Eidei Chasima. And perhaps somebody counterfeited the writing above. But the signature remains okay. So on other shtaros, we don't allow it. The Chsiv, there's also a pasuk in Yirmiyah that talked about shtaros. You have to put it in a earthenware jar so that it'll last a long time. This was talking about shtaros that were written that they were going to come back after 70 years in Bavel. Rav Yochanan Marfilo b'shtaros. Rav Yochanan says that by regular shtaros, you can also write them on erased paper or diphthera. We don't paskin that way. We paskin according to the first shot of Rabbi Lazar. Also makes a topic. This is a good advice. It's not make your adin. Everybody can write again. Afilu cheres shoyte v'kad. The more will explain what do you mean. Why? Aisha koseves is gita. Even a woman can write her own get. But she has to be makne to the Baal. The Baal has it. And then later on, he has to give it back to her. Similarly, Aish kosev is shavro. When he pays off the ksuba, he's going to need a receipt back from her. But he can write.
Ernie, when she writes the get, who does she give it to? To herself?
Her husband. To her husband. And then the husband gives it to her.
Oh.
He can have the get written. But she has to makne it. It has to come from the husband. So he has to give it to the husband. Then the husband has to give it back to her.
Okay.
Now, when he gives her the ksuba, she has to give him a receipt. He can pay for the receipt. He can have it go to a sofer, write it, and then he gives it to her, and then she gives it back to him when she gets paid.
Okay.
And then she'ein kima get ela b'choismav. The get relies on who signed it. That's giving the explanation for why it makes no difference who writes it. That even a cheresh short of a cotton can write it. As long as the kiyuma get is with its signature. And this is only according to Rabbi Lozer, who hold Edom Masira Karti. I afraid to come I love Bnei Day and Inu. Cheresh v'kotn have no das. Ravuna v'ushai gadol oimin agba. As long as a gadol on top of them, it's similar to shchita. We're going to learn it. It's cotton that's shoichet. If gadol oimin al gabav, so maybe an opinion that says it's okay.
What's the halacha in the Shroshim and half in the Eretz Yisrael, half the Chutz La'aretz? What do we do as far as the Maisa? What do we do? First of all, the fruit gets mixed up. How do we really know? Halacha the Maisa today. What we do? What do we do in terms of how do we separate it?
Ilan shayu miktzas shiroshu be'eretz u'miktzas b'chutz la'aretz. Af shayasela mabdil ben ashroshim arei tevel v'chulim rovin zebezeh be'perus ilan zeh. Each fruit is a mixture of tevel and chulin. It's a problem, right? If everything is tevel, then you can separate some and give us trumas and maizos. Some will be okay. Every fruit is a combination of tevel and.
So yeah, you can't give truma from chulin, no.
No.
So
Well,
what do we do if it's
each now you might be able to give
half of each?
add it all up. No, and you give truma from other produce that you have. But it's
from that tree though, from that tree.
But half of it is going to be chulin. So you have to weigh it, calculate it, and then you give a certain amount of truma to pater the tevel that's there.
Ernie,
Square.
can we learn tomorrow at 7 or not?
Yes, I'm going to try to learn at 7.